Uh,
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, Arun. Normally what we do is we make an introduction. And I have a feeling that almost everyone here knows Arun. He's been a part of the Charter for Compassion for as long as I have been. And that's around 2014. I think we started to work together. Sean is new to us. Nonetheless, it's been a good half year now in meetings. And as some of you know, we have been having meetings with youth, with ourselves, within the charter to try and figure out, what is the best way to begin to be a part of the youth movement. And we know that there are scattered movements all over the world. In my conversations yesterday, early this morning, I had a meeting with the newly formed Global Compassion Coalition. I have to be careful because we have the Global Compassion Council, but this is the Global Compassion Coalition. And they are, the top leaders around the world who have been involved in neuroscience, investigation of compassion, the science of compassion, the politics of compassion. And it was so interesting because so many of them referred to working with youth throughout the world. Tanya Singer from the Max Planck Institute in Berlin has just finished a program with youth. There were a person from a young professional, I think leadership person from Johannesburg, from the University of Victoria, also working primarily with youth. And ironically, one of our trustees, Moses Machipasi, was a part of that institute. So there was all kinds of connections there. And so we're really excited as we just finished, and Arun will tell you about this, I'm sure, or Sean will, a 2-day open space technology meeting. And there were a good number of people involved in that. And so I think it's great today we have an opportunity to look at the more holistic view that we have, and we know that that view is going to expand. So I'm going to turn this over to Arun and to Sean.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Marilyn, and very hearty good morning to all of you. And absolutely delighted and grateful to be here. I was just sharing with Marilyn and Merida and others and Susan that because we are small numbers, this is a great opportunity to really have some heartfelt conversations and come up with some new ideas. And so I will go through the presentation and later give us an opportunity to speak from the heart and communicate freely so that we get some nice interesting ideas going forward. So friends, welcome to this conversation on youth collaborating for compassion. So what I intend to do is to tell you a bit about the need to which Marilyn alluded a short while back. I mean, how did it arise? How did we start? So we'll look at a bit of the context and the need, and then I'll tell you actually about the movement that happened, including the open space, which Starita and Susan and Merida and Marilyn, many of you attended. And then after that, we'll talk about this whole thing of can the adults collaborate to serve the youth? Can we cut across national, organizational, and other boundaries to really work to serve the youth, to listen to the youth and support them, mentor them, and actually also get out of the way, which is what I'll come to towards the end of the meeting. So friends, I think we are all in the same boat. I don't have to preach to the choir. We all know the kind of challenges and crises that the world is facing. And one thing I am getting a very good sense of is that this whole turbulence, this crisis, is a transition of the planet and of humanity towards a world that works for all, towards a more humanistic, a more compassionate, a more loving civilization in which there's more compassion for oneself, more compassion for other people, and more compassion for the environment and for our animals. Because we have all the resources we need. We have everything we have in terms of the different cultures on the planet, in terms of the medicines, the foods, the art, the music. We have everything on the planet to lead a very, very holistic and beautiful and abundant life for all. There is, just to give you one example, Africa has 60% of the unused arable land on the planet. 60% of the land of Africa, extremely fertile, is unused and it's arable. You can grow fruits and vegetables and medicines there, but 60% is unused. Actually, if Africa starts waking up to this power and beauty and doesn't, stay hypnotized by the kind of colonial past and the conditioning that has come, Africa can feed the world. And that's just one continent. And likewise, everywhere, not only Africa, everywhere. So we have the resources, we have the money, we have the technology, we have the people, the culture, the stories, the songs, the dances. Every single thing is there to co-create a world that works for all. And leadership, friends, is, as you all know, and again, you're all leaders yourself, is about creating new futures. And creating new futures is what this movement is about. This movement of youth creating a new world, of youth collaborating for compassion, is really about youth coming forward and joining hands and hearts and heads to co-create a world that works for all. Someone has said something beautiful. He said, you need passion to get things going, to make things happen. You need passion. And to make the right things happen, you need compassion. So it's not enough to have passion. It's also necessary to have compassion so that the right things can happen. So a few years back, I think it was COVID, if I'm not mistaken, Susan, around 2019, 2020, we started listening to young people all over the world. And, Marilyn and Susan and Etsuko and many of us spend a lot of time listening to what are the voices of the young people saying. And my daughter Nitya, who lives in Portland, Oregon, where I'll be in a few days, captured the voices in this beautiful graphic. And so we'll start from the upper left-hand corner. She said, children, youth are really wondering what's going on. And they're saying there is women's safety issues, climate change, racism, biases, inequality, iniquity, fires were raging at that time. Education has become life deadening rather than life alivening, and animal rights and so on. So they're saying today, we are inheriting a broken world from you guys. And not only are we inheriting a broken world from you, you're not giving us a chance to decide. You're not giving us the spaces to open up. We are fatigued, we are tired, we have empathy fatigue, and we're growing up really fast. I think the millennials have seen the COVID crisis, they have seen wars, they have seen a lot of stuff, and they're growing up really fast. I think one of the other things that came out, and again, I'll come back to this, is this whole thing about mental health. They say that we feel connected to the world, but we also feel disconnected. Social media, is it a blessing or a curse? We seem like we're in a rat race, and we feel the pressure, expectations of our parents, academic choices, career choices, rising prices, rising educational costs. And we are stressed out. I mean, money is in short supply, and we are stressed. I mean, there is a lot of pain. Yesterday, between the time that, in the last 2 weeks, I've addressed three gatherings of 300 people, and there is so much anxiety, so much stress, and they're all concerned. And at the same time, they have hopes, they have dreams. They're saying, we can do things together, we can come together, we can listen to each other. We're very diverse people. If we come together in a way that is, with community, with a sense of togetherness, we can make a difference. And I think in the United States, those of you who are in the United States would know that when the youth start waking up and the youth really decide to do something, real change happens. If you look at the history of the United States, it is the youth who are at the forefront of some of the most interesting changes that happened. So coming back to the voices of youth, there is a lot about awakening to who we are, awakening to the core of spirit in us, which is beyond our identity, which is beyond the color of our skin, which is beyond our nation, which is beyond our religion. Can we awaken to that unifying power of compassion? Can we begin with self-compassion? They are so harsh on themselves. And very, very simple things that they can do to heal themselves are not done. And can we take action from this space? So this is what we heard in 2020, about 2 years back. And then my daughter did some more work on mental health with Multnomah County in Oregon. And again, the same things came up that, let's not make it a stigma. Let us really, really address this mental health issue. And some of the insights is that adults need to drop their pride. Parents need to be educated about mental health. They need to not go on bearing down on their children saying, this is my dream for you, this is my vision for you, and so on. And let's have mental health conversations. Let's, just like we brush our teeth, can we have mental health hygiene? Can we have things like this? Now, it's not as if it's not there. It's all there. I mean, we have the social emotional learning programs we have, but I think the need to move faster and sensitize teachers and parents is very high. There was passion rising that if we have spaces which are created by us, for us, we can make a difference. So let's move from me to we. I think this whole thing about me, mine, I said, let's move beyond that into a wider space and make compassion a force for personal and societal transformation. So just to summarize this part, I think we are on a very, very exciting point in history, a beautiful cusp in which if we take care of our young people, if we listen to them, if we mentor them, nourish them, dance with them, move with them, I think we can do something really wonderful. And one of the things, there are three things that young people love. Community, they love dialogue. Number two, they love mastery, they love learning, they love autonomy, and they love higher purpose. Somebody has said, meaning is the new money. They have a tremendous sense of idealism and higher purpose, much more than we had. I mean, with some barring exceptions of some people. The other problem is that in organizations, we apply geriatric solutions to pediatric problems. They have very different problems, but we apply old solutions to their problems and often don't give them the space. So this is something that is the context. Now coming to YCC, there was this beautiful movement by the Charter for Compassion called the Golden Rule. And as part of the Golden Rule celebrations, which Susan was spearheading, we did an experiment 2 or 3 years back. We got a school in Karachi, Pakistan, to speak to a school in Pune. So you have this school here, the Kalmadi school in Pune, and the Karachi school in Sindh, Khorogod. So 3 boys and 3 girls on either side. And one of the little boys here, Ninad, who couldn't come today, but who's part of our team, When he went home and told his parents that he's speaking to Pakistani children, they were horrified. They said, what's going on here? How can we talk to Pakistanis, right? But we went ahead and the children talked to each other and they interacted with each other. And there was an amazing, amazing resonance and a feeling of oneness. And one of the things I remember from this conversation was, guys, you guys are just like us. You're just like us. And so we were very encouraged. In fact, one of the children said, we're going to celebrate with sweets from Delhi Sweets, which is a shop in Karachi. Delhi is the capital of India. So in Karachi, there's a thing called Delhi Sweets. And the Pune children said, in Pune, we have 10 Karachi Sweets. And that is the truth. The 10 sweet shops called Karachi Sweets. So we got in touch with our shared humanity. The children got in touch. The teachers were delighted. The teachers were thrilled. And then we slowly expanded that to more schools. Jamshed Memorial School in Karachi and the Swadha Waldorf School. And the Swadha children asked the people that, how come you're looking so peaceful? They said, we meditate in the morning. It's a Waldorf school. I mean, it's a Montessori school. They said, we meditate. And this girl asked us, what happened to your arm? How did you break your arm? And then the next time they met, the children were so happy in Pune that they sang a song for the children on the other side. So we found that the children from Srinagar talking to Hosur in India, children from Hosur, India, talking to children in Indonesia, telling them about the Shiva temples, telling them about the culture. It was a feeling that we got that this is a beautiful way for children to bridge the gap between cultures, between nations, between social strata, and just come into a space, safe space, where they are honest, open, and they can share freely without any control, without any parental or any control. So the YCC movement was born out of this. It was born out of the conviction that young people are more open-hearted, open-minded compared to adults, and we can therefore create something that touches everyone's heart. And before I come to the remaining thing, let me just show you a small clip. We just made a clip recently on YCC, and I'm just going to show you that clip in a minute. Yeah. I'll come back to the clip. I'll just come back to it, but let me tell you a bit more. So now what we have done is we have decided that schools can register from all over the world. There's a little URL for that. And after they register, they get an introductory booklet. And all that is there. And they also, after they register, then they get a starter kit in which how exactly do you do it, and so on and so forth. All that is spelled out. And one of the things is that we want them to sign up on the map of co-creators, which Ole, who's here in the meeting, if he hasn't left already, he wanted to leave early, but the map of co-creators helps people identify compassionate schools, who's interested in what, and we want schools in this network to really sign up on this. There is a beautiful point here, which is that there are 5,000 schools already in the Compassionate School Network, in the Charter for Compassion, and there are 3,000 schools in India, part of the ETST movement, which we're going to talk about on the 17th of November. And these 8,000 schools are very good starting points for this movement to get started, including the map of co-creators, so which is our next step. Let me pause here. I just want to pause here and see if you have any questions, and then I'll show you that little clip. Do you have any questions so far, or any comments, or anything you want to ask or share? Anyone, please go right ahead.
Well, I will start.
Yeah,
when I was
please.
11 years old, I was in Canada with 2 boys and 2 girls from Norway. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. Go right ahead. Yes.
Yeah. And we were 10 nationalities together, and that has completely changed my life, because I played with people, with boys from Tokyo, and from wherever, United States and Canada. And since that, no meaning for me. We are all the same. I play equally well with people from Costa Rica as from my own backyard.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Ole. Wonderful.
And I would say also that I am supporting the map of co-creators, which is for people. And I would recommend that you make a copy of that, which is for institutions, which will have more information about the institution and contact people and so on.
Sure. Wonderful. Thank you, Ole. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, Susan, you want to share something? Or you were just waving? Okay.
I was waving. I know Ola's got to go soon. I was just waving.
Oh, yeah. Ola, thanks for joining and thanks for your comments. Thanks. I just share from my experience. I was born in Kashmir, then was surrounded by Muslim neighbors, born in a Hindu family, went to a Christian missionary school. Then my father went to Birmingham, England, where I experienced life in Britain. And then we went to Germany and so on. And then took a holiday to Paris and all that. So I think early exposure to many cultures expands the mind in a way that nothing else can. And I think it's a starting point for understanding that my worldview is not the only worldview. I mean, there's so many other. So that's why we have great, we are very happy about this program. And we made a promo film recently, which I just want to share with you, and then we'll go further onwards. Yeah, so here we are.
Aaron, I have a quick request. Can you go back to the slide prior to the map for compassionate schools?
Sure. Just give me a moment. Yeah, I'll just stop sharing. Before the map, yes. Are you talking of? Okay, let me just share this first. Yeah, thanks.
Where you said schools can register from all over the world for.
Did you mean this one or?
Yes. So it was after this one, and then yes, that one.
Starter kit. Yeah. So in the starter kit, there is, and Sean, if you can just put the URL for registering, please, that would be nice.
Oh,
so
yeah, that would be helpful.
Share that. So Sean is going to do that for you, and he can have a look. Yeah. So to register and get this introduction, Sean has put something in the chat box where a school can just register in this straight away. And even in the promo film, there is a registration call to action in the end. And all of this, the map is part of the starter kit. It's part of the starter kit. We tell them about the map and the co-creators map is to sign up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Most welcome. Thank you. So we'll now have a look at film and just let me know if you can hear the sound.
This world is for everyone.
Is the sound
We
audible?
can't see it. We can't see it.
Okay.
Maybe
Right.
stop sharing and share again.
Yes, I'll do that. Yes, thanks. I'll stop sharing and I will share once more. Yeah. Thanks. Go right back to the start. Yeah, just one moment. Thank you all for your patience. It's nice. One moment. Yeah, here we are. Okay, let's try again. Yes. Okay. Let me start.
This world is for everyone.
Is it audible?
It isn't ours to own or claim, but ours to care for,
Okay.
ours to nourish, and ours to love. With the lush green forests, the vast oceans, and even the tiniest creatures making one big family. And look at the variety, like a box of assorted chocolate, with so many smells and tastes and sights and sounds, like one delicious platter. So just imagine if we could all sit around this platter and exchange stories of our identities, our histories, our uniqueness, and also share what we lack, the problems we face, and how we can overcome them together. Imagine a space that inspires and guides the next generation. That's us, to become global ambassadors of peace and compassion. Wouldn't that be amazing? That's exactly what's happening with Youth Collaborating for Compassion, a co-initiative by the Foundation for Peace and Compassionate Leadership and the Charter for Compassion. The YCC is a global movement, an opportunity for youth the world over to come together and work in tandem to make a difference. With a host of activities that build on compassion, awareness, and empathy, fostering skills for teamwork and creative problem solving. This is an initiative aimed at unfolding peace and compassion with the help of young leaders, that's us, from around the world. So come join this movement and be a part of this beautiful journey, because we are future leaders, dreamers, builders, and artists. And when we bring change, starting from our schools, our neighborhoods, and our communities, we can change the world.
Thank you. So that's the promo film. It's up on YouTube, and Sean will put the thing up.
The practice you are about
So
to
Sean,
learn
if you can just put the URL of this up onto the chat box, that will help. Yeah. So which means that anytime you want to share this, feel free to share it. It's out there on YouTube. Okay. So coming back, so one of the important things in this movement is action learning projects. We want young people to collaborate and do something with action, which is something that the Race for Good has got right. They were very. So action learning projects where we say, okay, let's come together and do something where around compassion, we do something which helps us or the community or the environment. Or it could even be learning, learning from each other, learning about different cultures. Like I was amazed to find that the children of South India, Hosur, South India, were learning about Shiva temples from Muslim children in Indonesia. They said, we never knew about these things. And the Muslim children are so enthusiastic about teaching them about Shiva and Shiva temples. And these young kids in India were amazed. So like that, great learning opportunities. But one of the action learning projects which we gave a team of young people was we're going to have a youth conference online. So these are all young people. Sean is here and Ninad was in the film. So Ria, Reva, Ninad, Zeva, Janvi, Vaishnav, Sumuk, they actually did all the technology and everything for the youth conference. And later on, I'm just going to invite Sean to talk about, he's one of the team members, how was the experience. But I was amazed at how they did it. I mean, at no cost almost. I mean, volunteering their time. Sean was not well, Reva was not well, and they kept working and so on. Amazing, amazing, incredible passion. And what emerged was opening space. And okay, but before that, Sean, you want to talk about your experience of working in this team and putting it all together?
Yeah, sure. I could talk a little bit about it. I've never been part of an open space meeting, period, physical or online. And so for me, the concept was novel. And I think a large part of my left brain anxious planner side of, everything wanted us to just like have everything like, a plan B for everything. And it just sort of felt like, how can this work? How can this work without a plan? How can this not, something's going to happen, something's going to go wrong, or we're not prepared enough. And so many of these sort of things that happen when you're trying to plan an event and you're trying to have like a format in place. And so one thing kept going wrong after the other, and I just felt like it was going completely sideways. But I think right up until the day of the event, it felt like this is so against the nature of what an event should feel and look like, and all of the planning and everything like that. And when the 2 days happened, I was telling I don't know this as well, is that unintentionally it actually organized itself beautifully, in that you know kids knew that they had to document, and they diligently documented. People, there were old people, there were young people, and they all sort of like caught on to, okay, how breakout rooms work, and okay, what are we trying to do over here. um, the enthusiasm levels were through the roof, throughout the session. I mean, we had about 350 people who signed up from about five different cities, countries rather, three continents. But through the 2 hours, they were all sort of engaged, and going through different rooms and talking to one another. And I think for me, like, from going from a non-believer, in terms of when you hear about open space, and the rules sound nice, ideal, right? But you're like, how does this actually work in practice? And it does. I'm now converted to a point where if somebody tells me, okay, we're going to do an open space meet, I'm like, yes, let's please do that. Because that's literally, God bless that man, Harrison Owen, but he's given us a really a beautiful platform. Because one of the things that happened was that all the the feedback that we got was around the fact that there wasn't an agenda, there wasn't somebody telling you to do something. And I think that sits really well with my generation, the generation that's younger than me, and then obviously the youngest generations. um so I think, as from like being on the back end of it and completely like biting my nails as to whether how can we work without a plan, to actually seeing that happen in reality, I highly recommend using open space technology as a format when you're trying to bring ideas together. No matter what kind of a sort of a thing that you're trying to do. Because what came out of this was, we actually ended up doing what we were trying to tell everybody, which was, come here, we're making this space for you, we're holding this space for you, you get to decide what you're talking about. And that was just yeah, that was magical for me in that sense.
Thanks. Thank you, Sean. And after I share a bit more about open space, I'm going to invite Merida and Starita, Marilyn, Susan to share their experiences, so that you can get a good feel of what happened. So, as Sean said, Harrison Owen was the person who invented it, and he worked for 1 full year to put together an HR conference. And when at the end of very successful conference, he got speakers and dignitaries and others. And after it was done, he asked people, what was the best part of the conference, the juiciest part? And they all said it was the coffee break. Because in the coffee break, you can go and stroll and talk to anyone, talk about whatever you like, and it kind of self-organizes. So the next time, he made the whole conference into a coffee break, and that's how Open Space was born. Now in Seattle, I have great friends like Ann Stadler, Peggy Holman, and others who taught me Open Space, with whom we've done Open Space for about 20, 30 years. And for me, if there are 3 words that describe it, it is extremely juicy in terms of the spirit is flowing, people are dancing, they're singing, breakthroughs are happening, extremely innovative and extremely, what can I say, innovative, learning and playful. And yet things happen. And this is what youth love. And that's why we did this experiment. I'm very happy to share that it happened. This is another experiment we did in Kashmir. About 2 years back, we had an open space in Kashmir in the DP school there. And after 30 years of militancy and violence and trouble and firing and bullets and all kinds of things, in this open space, they said, this is the first time we are breathing in 30 years. This is the first time we have a place where our voice can be heard. And beautiful things emerged out of that, right? So even in highly conflicted places, we've done it between India and Pakistan. We have done it where terrorists were present and militants were present, all kinds of people. But a safe space which says yes to you, yes to whoever you are. If you're a human being, we are here to listen to you and you listen to us. And we trust the spirit to make something emerge. So it has a law of 2 feet, and which is that take responsibility for what you're passionate about. And it also has, whoever comes is the right people. Whatever happens, happens. When it starts, it starts. When it's over, it's over. And be prepared to be surprised. The other thing is we also have documentation. And friends, whatever emerged in these 2 days, the 11th and 12th of September, we'll share it with all 300 youth who are registered and all of you, right? And of course, great fun and huge surprises. And one of the biggest surprises for us was that out of the 38 topics, 95% of the participants gathered around the mental health for youth, which is like, I said, what's happening here? Why is it, 95% of them gathered around mental health. And then, so there were 3 broad topics: care for myself, care for others, care for the environment. Some people talked about international peace, cultural exchanges, a beautiful discussion which Marilyn attended on how can we overcome fear-based thinking, and so on. We'll document everything. 3 continents, 5 countries, 356 registrations, 171 came on day 1, 118 on day 2. Yes, 75 signed up for both days, and so on. There was also room like songs, poems, music, and more. I think 35 young people went into that. There was also chill cafe, that if you don't want all this, just go to the chill cafe and sit there. You never know whom you're going to meet there. So there was this one little girl sitting in the chill cafe all alone. So I was curious. So I went into the chill cafe. And we had such a beautiful conversation. It was amazing what happened. So magic happens. Now I'm going to pause here and invite if Sarita or anyone else, Merida, Marilyn, Susan wants to share, how was your experience of what happened? Any brief things so that Barbara and Steve can also get a feel. Sarita, please go ahead. Yeah.
What I enjoy the most is that I come from a culture where you listen, and I was able to just sit and listen and learn from them.
Yeah.
I admit I jumped from room to room because I wanted to experience everything as much as I could. One of the students politely asked me, "Can you tell me what the new 3 R's means?" And that I think that was the 3rd room I went to. So I told them what we did, and it ended up being a huge conversation that I did not expect.
Right.
About how the elders have so much pressure in terms of career.
Yes.
And they don't understand that we are humanitarians. We're interested in the animals. We're interested in the environment. And I'm just listening to them speak.
Yeah.
And they sound like the small group of children we have in the new 3 R's, except that their parents want the children to be whole. And to see that the same pressures are in 2 different countries. And the problem is that the adults, we don't want to listen to the children.
Yeah.
And so that was That was an eye opener for me. I thought it was just the U.S. being very arrogant in the adults, but then I realized it's adults, period, no matter where they are.
Very true, very true. Absolutely.
Well, thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Merida, Susan, Marilyn, anything from your side?
I was in the International and Peace Diplomacy
Yeah.
group. I
Okay.
think it was called that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was fascinated because when I arrived there was already 4 people, and they had the youths, and they had started their own conversation. So it's really interesting to see what they saw was an impediment for this international peace. And one of the things that came up was they're very aware of borders. They're very aware of the restrictions. They're very aware of business, how business and money is affecting peace.
Right.
So it was really, for me, it was fascinating just to listen to them. And I would just like ask open-ended questions to see, where these and they loved it. So that room actually started also moving. So new people would come in and add new information, and some would just peep in and go away. But I thought it was a very interesting, I loved the interactions that happened in I was in about 3 groups, I think, and the interactions in all of them. I avoided the mental health one, seeing there was so many people in one. I thought, no, I better go and see what's happening in the others as well. And that it was just really nice to listen that they are aware. They are a bit lost in about what we can do, how can we help, but they are very aware of what is going on in the world.
Thank you, Merida. And just before we come to Marilyn and Susan, on the second day, we broke the mental health thing into different, cohorts of 10 people each, so that, we get a little bit more intimate space to open up. Because they're very scared, frightened to open up in front of 120, and you're talking something vulnerable, where there's a big stigma attached, even in the best of times. So we try to do that, but a lot of learning for us. Marilyn, yes, please.
Yeah, a couple points. Sean, I don't think you were at a meeting that Arun and I had with Peggy. I don't think Anne was there. Peggy's in Seattle, and one of the things that she does is open space all the time. So, and Arun and I have experienced open space quite a bit, but Peggy was telling us about her experience of working with over 2,000 youth in Colombia. And, that was the impetus to remind us how important open space is, and how important it is to get the themes. And I stayed in one room, and my experience was a little different because unfortunately we had probably 8 to 10 youth, only 2 came in. One came in at the end and stayed, another just was an interloper. But for the most part, it was a very contained group. And we had one person of our, the majority of the age probably here, who couldn't help giving information all the time. And it reminded me how important it is that if we're going to have a youth gathering, and that we want people who are young at heart, that we need protocols for the people who are young at heart. Little reminders to say you're there to listen, you're there to, if you're called on, then that's okay. But the other thing I found, I was in the fear
fear group,
and it was really interesting because I'm not certain where I encountered one of these young people before. And I've been trying to think about it because I had heard her story before, and she started us off, and it was really interesting because you're always waiting for that one person to start it. And I think that it's almost like we could have a preamble card that we distribute to people who come into open space, and say it's okay to sit in silence. Something will emerge, and that's what happened. And then she just, I mean, she opened the floodgates, I think, for all of the other folks who were in the group. So I wound up with, you know, those two observations, the protocols, the preamble, maybe card, or maybe it'd be called something else. But then, you know, the other thing that I realized was that, and I think that Merida and others have kind of walked this line, is that while we're listening, I think there's a curiosity among the youth to say, you know, can you respond to this? Maybe, you know, can you respond to this because you've lived through it, or that maybe you have some ideas? So it's interesting to see that invitation and how people, and this is true of people of all ages. It's like, you know, we would like some guardrails so that we can proceed safely. So that was one observation that I had. The other is we want deeper knowledge. You know, why is it? What's going on here? And how can I deal with it? And that was really evident that they wanted, you know, more. And the person who was in the group with us was very skilled, and he did offer more, and he offered them links, like we so often do in meetings.
Yes. But the same person, if I remember right, in the plenary said, I realized that I should not have been talking so much. I should have been listening more. He said that in the plenary. So yeah. Thanks, Madeline. Susan, any observations? And Steve and Barbara, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, Susan.
So I was in one group the whole time as well, and I too saw the huge numbers in mental health, and I went, I'll go somewhere else. So I picked the one about caring for animals, and it was a small group. A few people came in and out, but there were maybe 6 or 8 of us throughout the whole time. And I too was just kind of trying to be the guide on the side, right? And not the sage on the stage, and really listen to them.
Yeah.
And they did ask a few questions. And so then it actually became a discussion, but I would say just a few sentences, and then I would kind of like pull back to the edge again so that they could have their conversation. And it was a fabulous conversation that started with caring for stray dogs in India, that then went to marine life. It went to, we talked about animals who are raised for meat, meat that can be raised in laboratories. Like it went big. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was lovely. I enjoyed each one of them. I wanted like to connect with each one of them after the fact, but I didn't want to overstep the boundaries.
Thanks, Susan. Steve and Barbara, any questions or any queries about open space?
So I'm still pretty new to this, well, to all the lingo related to the Charter for Compassion.
Okay.
So was this conference, and so was this the first time that this conference was held? And then what was the name of the conference? Was it, because I've heard so many names being tossed out, was it Open Space or Youth Collaborating for Compassion, or I'm trying to sort of pull things together.
Right. So it was basically, the Youth Collaborating for Compassion is a movement, and I described that schools register, there's interaction, there's action learning and so on. But just to kickstart the conversation, we had this open space event, Steve. Yeah, so it's a starting, it's just kind of kick-starting the whole thing, but it was so youth collaborating for compassion, done using the open space mode methodology.
I would say that we can refer to open space technology as a tool.
As a tool, that's
Yeah,
right.
and that as a tool, it's a process that not too many people have experienced. You know, we've had opportunities when we gather for team building or for getting to know one another. So those are exercises and activities. A lot of people stray away from open space technology because it's so huge. Insofar as, you know, you can use it with a small group of people, but it really works with large groups of people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was an opportunity for us, if we want to build a movement that has thousands of people around the world in each. And so, I mean, what we're talking about, hopefully, is hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And that, you know, you reduce it so that you can have local, regional meetings as well as global meetings, and use this process. So, you know, what would happen if you got eventually, let's just say 10 years from now, that we got a whole global movement, and we used open space because we wanted to solve a problem of ending nuclear weapons, the use of nuclear weapons or storing nuclear weapons. And so that, you know, because when we talk about, you know, the crazy needs that we have in this world, certainly climate is way up there. But when you think about all these nuclear weapons, and we think about what's happening between Russia and the Ukraine, if there was the tiniest accident, it would affect all of Europe, all of Russia.
Very true, very true.
Yeah. And so, you know, what would happen if we brought all these great minds and collectively were able to create new approaches and inform governments that this is not the way to go. So I find it an incredible technology every time that I've experienced it.
I think that the you know, first, and this is, you know, directed to you, Steve, you know, because you're curious about how, like Marilyn and Arun said, it's more of a tool, but how it can be applied. It's the concept of what spoke to me the most was the concept of the open canvas. You know, because there was no, yes, in a way to sort of preempt what topics were going to be discussed from a planning perspective, we sort of threw the agenda board open before the event. So in fact, you know, it went live maybe 2 or 3 days before the event, and then we already had registrations come in and stuff. And so we populated the agenda board. But because it was completely open-ended, you know, people came with their views, and there were like things from as trivial as football. There were some kids who wanted to discuss football, and then there was, you know, more sort of complex topics, and out of which mental health ended up being the big whale, the elephant in the room, that everybody wanted to discuss after a point. But I think that the tool allows for an open canvas, and then you see that, you know, those patterns that you're looking for, that you're trying to solve, you know, they come to the front anyways. And it's a great sort of a way for us as older people to not sort of be preachy and say, oh, this is what we need to solve. It kind of comes from them itself, and then it aligns with what everybody else is thinking. I think that's the strongest sort of, you know, takeaway to use this, and it literally will work at the scale that Marilyn is talking about, because it, you know, that open canvas allows for that complexity to sort of mushroom in a way.
And thanks, Sean. And also what you said in the beginning, Sean, that you have to trust life, you have to trust the process, you have to be comfortable with a bit of chaos, because life is about balancing between chaos and order. And so that's exactly how open space works. Welcome, Guard. Hearty welcome to you. Good morning. And Starita. Yes, please. Go ahead.
So when I was in the open space, what it reminded me in terms of history is the power of the Black Panther Party to bring together Muslim, Jews, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, white, blacks, Latinx around the world, right?
Yeah.
And that's the power that I see. We could build this work can reach the children around the world the same way the Black Panther Party mobilized for humanity.
Very nice. Yes. Thank you, Starita. And one or two other points for young people. A language they all understand is music. A language they all understand is dance. So there's if there's a lot of dancing and music and poetry and art as part of this open space, I think we have a huge opportunity. And Barbara, you asked a question, where can I learn more about it? So I'm requesting Sean to put the URL of Open Space World into the chat box. And that is really something that gives you a lot of information, Barbara, on Open Space World. I'll just move on. And, so we invited them to all join on Telegram. So this was the call at the end of the conference, join on Telegram, and we intend to grow the Telegram group, because that's a very powerful way to reach out to them. And while we are saying on the one hand, young people should collaborate and come together, I think the question is, can the adults collaborate to support them? And Swami Vivekananda, who spoke at Chicago on September 11th, September 11th was the day that he spoke at Chicago at the Parliament of World Religions. He said, bring all the forces of good together. Do not care under what banner you march, like what you said, Starita, about the Black Panthers. Do not care what be your color, green, blue, or red, but mix all the colors and produce that intense glow of white, the color of love. Ours is to work, the results will take care of themselves. And I think, friends, right now, we ended the open space invitation for all the young people to put arts on the world. But the point I'm trying to make is, we dream, this is not in the film yet, but this is our dream. Our dream is that can the Race for Good and Charter for Compassion and FPACL and Heartfulness and the 3 ERs, the Baha'i, the European Baha'i Business Forum, Pachamama, all these organizations, can we all join with the glue of compassion and with the glue of service to young people to work together as one? And the way we'll have to structure this is that we can say, okay, Race for Good, what do you bring to the party? They say, okay, we bring, action learning projects to the party, and we have a huge network. Okay, what do you want from the party? We want to learn about open space. Okay, we can teach you that. So Charter for Compassion, what do you bring to the party? We've got 5,000 schools, and we have, a whole network of compassionate cities. So what would you like? Okay, we want this and that. So if each of these groups, Heartfulness, for example, is in 120 countries. They have a beautiful process of meditation. The new 3 Rs, Starita, such lovely work you're doing. So beautiful, the stories and various things. Similarly, you've got the Aga Khan Foundation, United World Religion, URI.
What should you click below and take Soljan's solar quiz? Great question. Listen up, because this info will save you.
Sorry, something happened. I don't know what happened. Okay. So I'm just going forward. So I think this is what's needed. And I just want to show you a song which is really, really something which inspires us and has inspired a lot of young people. And I would like to share this song with you, and then we can have question and answers. I don't know how many of you have seen this song. Have you seen it? Grateful. By Nemo Patel. Okay, I'm going to just play it and then we will take it further from there. Yeah, here we are.
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest, you're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love. You're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug, you're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun. You're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter, you're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father, to the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround, I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere in the clouds. You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow, you're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow, you're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
All that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Grateful for it.
You're the blessings every time I try to count. You're the lessons that I learn every time I turn around. You're the water when I'm burned every time I think I found everything I'm looking for. You're the sign saying stop to take a bow and keep moving forward and start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart aligned in purpose. Everything will feel gorgeous.
All that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all,
Every day I sit and pray cause what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I give back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family or if I'm all alone. Bad things happen, I can just complain and moan, but there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
so I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything near and far. All that I am,
Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
So this morning, I came across a little video called Dances from All Over the World, and it just struck me that dance and music are so engaging and young people love it. So I think we probably have a lot of dance and music and sacred chants and from all over the world coming, because I think they touch the heart, people engage with it, and it's a language we all understand. So I'm going to stop here and have question and answers. Marilyn, yes, please, go ahead.
We're going to continue tomorrow with our regular compassion, Youth for Compassion. And, you know, one of the things that I would love to see, and if it is of interest to everyone here, then I think it could be part of our discussion tomorrow. You know, just as Swami Vivekananda talked about this unity of people at the very first Parliament of World Religions, and we're back in Chicago where that first Parliament started next year. I think it would be wonderful if we did a youth collaborating for compassion open space meeting, and that we not only have people who are part of the Parliament in terms of youth, but if we can get some people, young people from Chicago, and you know, if we could work with the Parliament to bring them into this meeting, I think that would be, you know, just an incredible thing. The other thing, going back to your music, you know, what I think it was the last Parliament, Nemo Patel and Daniel were in the banquet that we had with the Charter for Compassion. And I don't know if you remember, but because I think you were there, Arun, and
I was
certainly
there,
a
the
few
banquet,
others were there.
yes.
I mean, it ended in song. It was never, ever planned. And it was just so delightful. And Pato was there, and Annette. And so that, you know, it got even multiplied in sound. And so one of the things I was thinking of as you had the logos of different organizations, some of whom could probably contribute to helping to bring youth to Chicago. I think that's going to be an important thing. I know that there will be, you know, youth coming because there will be interstate organizations that will help them come, but I think we need a little bit more help. And the other thing that we might begin to think about is, I'm fairly certain that Nemo will be there, and I'm sure that Pato and Annette will be there. But, you know, can we get a few other people who are compassionate musicians at the Parliament? And maybe it's going to be up to Gard and myself as we meet with Stephen Avino. But I mean, when you think, you know, why can't we have your daughter, who has been so wonderful and as a musician to helping the Charter, to be there, somebody like Elisa Hava, who, you know, her last 2 decades have been dedicated to compassion music. And, you know, and I'm thinking about someone who has been around for 40, 50 years, Holly Neer, and the kind of passion that she has in putting missing pages of history into music, as well as some of the very themes that Nemo and others are putting into music today. So I know we need a planning group for this, because we need to deal with it quickly if it's going to happen.
And Marilyn, as you spoke, I was reminded of what Peter Block has said. He said, Peter Block has said, the answer to how is yes. So if there's a big yes in our hand, in our hearts, and we really, really say yes to your vision, that yes will show us a way. Like, for example, before we come to Susan, the Race for Good, Linda Cruz is connected to some very, very good funders. And if we can sit with her and inspire her with this vision of the youth collective happening in Chicago and open space, I'm sure that all the thousands of young people she's connected with all over the world will come forward. Nipun Mehta will come forward. Daji of Heartfulness will send a few hundred. So it's doable. We just have to hold that yes in our heart and give it a lot of love, a lot of attention and a lot of compassionate energy. And believe me, Marilyn, it's going to happen. I know it will happen.
Yeah, it will.
It will. Susan, and then maybe Gard wants to share something. And by the way, what are the dates of this? Because we'll block our
14th
calendars.
to 18th of August, 2023.
Okay, 14th to 18th of August. So Sean, get ready to come to Chicago.
Yeah, bring it. All right.
Susan, yes, Susan.
I have another meeting I need to jump to. Love that song, Grateful by Nemo. Love it. There is a film that's a documentary that's focused on gratitude. It's called Gratitude Revealed. It is coming up on the 21st of September. I've put it in the chat. You can link to it. It is a global premiere. It's premiering in 2 different time zones. So that is in the chat if anyone is interested. It was done by the director of Fantastic Fungi. He's done one now on gratitude. And so I'm going to express my gratitude before I exit for this group, this conversation, for YCC, for those conversations that you all made possible. So
thank you so much, Susan. Thanks for being the backbone of the whole thing. Thank you.
Just a little piece. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks. Yeah, Guard, anything you want to share or any questions, anyone, please feel free to ask or any comments.
I just couldn't.
I have one little song to play later. Yeah, Guard.
I just couldn't miss a meeting that my brother Arun is at.
Sweet of you, that's.
And so at the 2015 Parliament in Salt Lake, some may recall we had choirs.
Mhm.
And I could well imagine that Pato would be willing to lead a choir of youth and help that voice. And I think it would be an extraordinary experience.
Yeah.
And then we are putting on, Steve has talked to Marilyn and I, we're putting on Camp Anytown, which will probably be a 2-day project. Our Camp Anytown has been going for 35 years. And you can look it up, anytownlasvegas.org. And what we do is we diffuse prejudice, bias, and bigotry. The kids walk in the first day thinking they got none, right, Starita? And by the end of the first day, we've taken that myth away, and they all realize they've got prejudice, bias, and bigotry. And by the end of the exercises and the gatherings that we have on the 3rd day, we have community, we have Sangha, we have a new way of being together. And as the mayor of Las Vegas said, you did that in 3 days, and we've been doing it for 35 years, and it's inner city youth. And so we are proposing to Steve to bring some of the youth from Chicago, who hopefully will be part of the choir and be part of the experience of the Parliament.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So Guard, just as you were speaking, this is a process that could work very well in India.
Yeah.
Where there are many fractions, many religions, many races, many castes, and so on. So how can we learn? How can we train 10 or 15 people in India to do what you've been doing in Las Vegas for 30 years?
All you need to do is ask. I believe that's a principle of the universe. If you ask, you will receive. So I will put you in touch with Rico, and hopefully, Sean, you'll be at the Parliament in Chicago, and you'll meet Rico, and you'll actually get to see the exercises and experience what Camp Anytown is about. But our desire is to see this go global, because again, if we can diffuse prejudice, bias, and bigotry, which to me is at the root of every issue, every sector that we've got problems in. If we can diffuse that bomb, then I think we've diffused the big bomb.
Beautiful, beautiful. Guard, this is such a gift. This is such an incredible gift.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing this. And you know, I mean, I can clearly see that, in fact, we have a conference of, we've done Education Today, Society Tomorrow for 30 years now. And so a lot of teachers and influencers are gathering in Panchgani, India from the 2nd to the 4th of December. I would like to invite them to learn this process of trainers or something, so that they can take it to 3,000 schools.
Yeah, so take a look at the website, and you'll see a video there, anytownlasvegas.org.
Fantastic.
And then to the extent you want, Arun, Rico will be available to you to Zoom or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And one of the things that we are offering to schools and people is the iCatalyst program, which is developing young leaders as facilitators of appreciative inquiry, open space technology, conversation cafe, right? And maybe this and sociocracy. So like, for example, from the new 3 hours, if you want 10, 15 people to be trained, Starita will train them in open space, appreciative inquiry, you know, whatever, World Cafe and some of these things. Because then they become catalysts. They go back into the communities you are working with and they can do an open space there. They can do appreciative inquiry. They can look at what is, like, for example, if we do an appreciative inquiry of, say, Las Vegas or of Portland, there's so many good things there that make our eyes shine. There's so many good things.
Yeah.
Not only bad things. Yeah, sorry, God.
No, the other big thing that we're excited about at the charter are circles of trust.
Yes,
and
yes.
I think, you know, circle process has been part of the planet since indigenous times.
Yes, yes.
We have lost that. And restorative justice, we're attempting to bring it back through that venue. But circles of trust are really at the key. And I was with Yafa, who you know.
Yes, Yafa Maritz, yes.
At Recovery Cafe, and they have 49 recovery cafes around the country that deal with addiction. And what was fascinating is they don't use the model of AA or even Narcotics Anonymous. They use what they call recovery circles, which is circles of trust. And they say that's the most effective model that they've engaged. And yesterday I was at a charter school that I'm helping, and the 6th grade was doing circles of trust. And all of these kids who were on the spectrum, kids who are having difficulties with bullying, they were all opening their hearts and you could see the healing going on.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Now, this is, friends, this is a beautiful example of appreciative inquiry. We're suddenly seeing these gems pop out, you know, circles of trust and this, you know, the thing of overcoming prejudice. Now, if we ask Steve, what are the gifts you bring? And Merida, what do you bring? And Barbara, what do you bring? And Starita and Marilyn, suddenly you find there is so much richness and so much abundance. Like we bring something, we all bring something to the party. Now imagine all these organizations, Service Space, Brahma Kumaris, Heartfulness, bringing things to the party, and we are so powerful. We are so powerful. But this has to happen in a conscious way through appreciative inquiry. And then once the gifts are out, okay, listen to your heart. What is life calling you to do? What is love calling you to do? Now come and reach out. Okay, Steve, can we do this? Can we? And so on. And it self-organizes.
It's beautiful.
So we are on to something great, friends. And I think something beautiful. And there's just one song I would love to share with you and take that as a song from young people to all of us. A song that every single person on the planet is singing to us. I will just play that song for you and then we will have a quiet moment and then we'll close for the day. So here is the song. It is called, so it's, hang on, I don't know where it has gone. Okay, I think I've lost it somewhere, so no problem. So go just a lot
Send
of
it to me, Arun. Send it to me and I'll send it together with the recording.
Excellent, excellent, Merida. Thank you very much. Thanks so much. And to all who came here, I'm very, very grateful to you for showing up. Thank you. And if there's any closing circle comments you want to share, let's do that. And then we will say, have a nice day and nice evening, whatever.
You know, I have one thing, and it's just a recollection of a few years ago, Arun. We were on Golden Rule Day, and there we were trying to get to Dar es Salaam, remember? And we had technical difficulties. So you and I put on an impromptu
Yes.
DJ kind of thing.
Yes.
So until we got the signals back at Dar es Salaam, and that was so much fun. And, you know, I have honestly been thinking, because the charter now has Spotify, and we have, I don't know how many pieces on our playlist. It turns out to be about 10 hours. And I was thinking, you know, we have a film festival that we do once a month, like Susan just put up. We do a global read. I think it's time that we had a musical interlude program, and just bring in all these wonderful people like Pato and Nemo and Daniel and Priyanka and Elisa, et cetera. And so maybe let's talk about it, if you would be my shared DJ until we can get someone else. Who would
Sure. I love improv. Improv is up my street. I love it.
Yeah. Okay.
So yes.
Marita, I just don't see Marilyn and Arun as rappers.
You'd be surprised. They are very young at heart.
Surprised.
One of the things that I did for 180 days when the coronavirus raised its head was I sent a song to a whole group of people for 180 days with a reflection on the music. It was all global. And so, just go back and pick up some of that. But
it was beautiful. I got some of those.
Yeah. So we'll work on it. Gard, we will invite you if you want to do one of the days.
You know, I used to be a volunteer pastor, and I would sing and people could hear me through the mic. And pretty soon the whole parish said, "We want you to sing solo." I said, "Really?" And they said, "Yes, solo, nobody can hear you. You're so bad."
Yeah. But God, I was so delighted in an earlier conversation when you talked about the Indian philosophy and so on. So delightful.
Yes, tonight I'm teaching the Vedas tonight, the Rig Veda.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
And there is so much, beauty. I think, sacred chants from all over the world, sacred dances, Africa, the rhythms, and so much richness. And young people just catch it like that.
If we could teach everybody the Gayatri mantra, I think we'd be onto something. What do you think, Arun?
Sure. Lovely. Good. So thank you, everyone. Merida and Marilyn. Yeah, do you want to say something, Marilyn?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind people that the next EdNet forum is someone we've been talking about, Linda Cruz from Race for Good. And the charter is the fiscal sponsor for Race for Good. And so this is a whole new, group of people. Linda has been doing this for 15 years, bringing students into different places in the world, interacting with people in villages and communities, and working with them to do the things that need to be done. And you'll learn much more about that at the next session, which is October. I'm not sure, but it's
20th.
October
20th.
Yes.
And Marilyn, I want to say I'm hosting Thomas Legrand this week at my home.
Right.
And he would like to be put in the queue.
Okay.
Global Read or EdNet.
Yeah, well, not only for EdNet, but I've been thinking that maybe for the Global Read.
He did a wonderful program last night for a bunch of people.
Okay, great.
Wonderful. Right then.
Namaste.
Say hi to Thomas from me.
Stay and have a nice
and his wife Emelina.
Nice day and have a nice evening. And Sean, good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you,
and thank you.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes, nice seeing everyone. Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.
Have a great day, evening. Bye.
Have a nice evening. Bye, Marie.